Hi, everyone. Welcome to Myth Busting Mondays.
Hello, hello. Today's topic is the law of attraction.
That's right. So every Monday we look at some myth or belief about love, dating, and relationship, and we ask, is that true?
Is it true?
Is it true?
So today, we want to ask this question: is the law of attraction enough for you to create the love you want? Is the law of attraction enough?
Right.
I mean, there's definitely law of attraction, relationship, dating coaches,
All
people,
over the
love
place,
coach
right?
people, right?
Yeah.
It gets mentioned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because a lot of our clients in the past, sometimes when they talk about our work together, they say the law of attraction works, and we're always like, I don't know how they got that from our work. So I don't think we ever talk about the law of attraction in our coaching, but I think there's, whatever you think the law of attraction is or isn't, we have a definition so that we're working off a definition. This
Yes.
is straight out of Wikipedia. The law of attraction is the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring positive or negative experiences into a person's life.
Right.
So we're working off this official definition from Wikipedia. So, is it that your beliefs are positive or negative? I think a lot of times people that say attraction are trying to always feel good. Like they're trying to feel the good feelings and not feel the not so good feelings. And
Well, yeah.
I always get a little confused about that myself.
Well,
because feelings are what they are. I don't know that I can flip a switch and go, okay, now I'm just blissfully happy. I mean, it would be cool if I could, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah, and I think part of it as well stems from this idea of thinking positively, right? Now, we certainly don't have a problem with being optimistic, with sort of visualizing and creating in your mind a future that you want, right? That you're moving towards. In fact, that's kind of the key to manifestation, right? You got to be
Yeah.
able to see the thing that you want in your life. And if you can't see it, you can't create it. So, in that sense, we certainly think thinking positively is worthwhile. It's helpful, right? But does thinking positively and its corollary feeling positive, does that bring positive things into your life like a magnet? And does thinking negatively and feeling negative emotions like magnetically attract negative experiences? It's interesting. I read this article recently and I think it's fascinating that basically said sometimes being a pessimist is a good thing. That's interesting.
I have to think about that one. I know for myself, I am generally an optimistic person, but at the same time, I can fall down into the crevice of cynicism at times, right? But people say cynicism is just what, a hopeless romantic or
A disappointed romantic. A cynic is
disappointed.
nothing more than a disappointed romantic.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
So I think when I've fallen into that cynical trap, it's that regard. But when we're talking about this idea that you have to think positively to create it, I'm yes and no. I think we work more with the principles of manifestation. So before Matthew and I started creating Love on Purpose together, I was a coach and been a coach for many, many years. And really, I was a manifestation coach. And so I'm trained as a professional hand analyst. I don't know if y'all know this, not handwriting, but hands themselves. Not a future teller, palm reader thing, but with the science of hand analysis, non predictive scientific palmistry, I can see in your fingerprints what your life purpose is, why you're here. And so, really, when we're working with our clients at creating Love on Purpose, we're using more manifestation tools because not everybody manifests the same way. Ooh, did you know that? So a lot of times what we're teaching our clients is how they specifically manifest. So if you know how to manifest one thing, then you can manifest anything else that you want, right? Even though our focus is on a beloved partner and a soulmate relationship, we've certainly had clients manifest, starring roles in movies and fantastic career changes and a new house or all kinds of different things. So once you know how you manifest, then you can keep manifesting. So when we ask this question, right, is the law of attraction enough for you to create the love that you want? I will say this: a lot of the practices that we have seen out there and that are common is this idea that with the law of attraction, you can attract in a partner by leaving a space for somebody to fill. So,
Right.
make sure you have two end tables by your bed, right? Two nightstands.
And 2 placemats on your
Yes,
dining room table.
Well, not even 2 placemats, but just set the table every night for 2 people for dinner and see, nature abhors a vacuum. Somebody should fill that space. And what we want to say is if you have no limiting beliefs about love and relationship, that might work for you.
Right. Yeah. If you have,
Right?
if you have a real, healthy relationship to love and relationship, right? If you have a healthy relationship with yourself, if you're able to easily create healthy, intimate relationships with other people, then all of these tools will work very easily, right? You can just focus on the positive. You can think positively. You could set, table for 2 and all that kind of stuff. And,
Poof, magically,
things are going to work for you.
your partner shows up.
Right.
However, there's a whole bunch of people that don't fall into that category that still want to create a great love relationship. And so what do those people do? So let us give you an example with that dinner table set thing, right? So let's say you value your freedom, right? Like I'm sitting next to this guy and his highest value is freedom. That's the thing he values most of all. Yeah. So now this is not my beloved here, but if you are somebody who prizes your freedom and you have a limiting belief that says you have to give up your independence to be in a relationship, to be in a partnership, oh my gosh, you could set that table, for 2 for like 100 decades and that person ain't coming. Because the thing is it's your beliefs that matter, not whether you're thinking positively or negatively. What you believe to be true is true for you. So what you believe is true for you. So it's looking at those belief systems, right? Like people have limiting beliefs about the opposite sex, right? Like, men might believe that all women are gold diggers, for example, or women might believe that all men will cheat. That was a limiting belief I had. I had a limiting belief that all men would cheat. I had people cheat on me, so, I had partners cheat on me, and at one point I had this belief pretty well entrenched that I believe that all men would cheat, which is kind of funny when I think about that younger version of me, because it's something, when we started dating, Matthew would go off to his office and, where he saw one client at a time in his very private office space, and sometimes he'd be there till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, with clients, and I never blinked twice about what was going on in his office. I had no doubt, no question about Matthew's loyalty to me, right, or his trustworthiness. So something in me had shifted. I had released that limiting belief before Matthew, and then the proof of getting somebody who was so, yummy showed up. And so what we want to tell you is oftentimes people sort of mess themselves up because you can't, in a sense, polish a turd, right? Like you can't sit around if you lost somebody dear and you're afraid to feel the grief because then bad things will happen, you're really like messing yourself up because your feelings are information, right?
But yeah, and let's look at this whole idea, right? Because if the law of attraction is true, then it requires that you're constantly policing your thoughts and constantly policing your feelings. Meaning, if anything negative comes into your sphere, you've got to in some way purge it or push it away and just turn your head and focus on the positive, right? And when it says polishing a turd, what you're doing is you're denying reality. Right. We always say it this way. You can walk around affirming, I am an excellent money manager all day long. But if you just came out of, a foreclosure and you've declared bankruptcy 3 times, then your experience is telling you the opposite. Right. And you have to bridge the gap slowly. You can't jump from, my life is a disaster to my finances. Yeah. To my finances are a disaster to I'm suddenly this rich, successful money managing person who knows how to handle all this money flowing into my life, right?
In other words, you can't lie to yourself.
You can't lie to yourself, right? So you have to first acknowledge and recognize what is. You have to say, this is the truth, right? This is the truth of where I am right here in this spot. Now, here's where, you got to start thinking positively, because then you start going, okay, so here's what I know that I want. Here's what I want to create in my life. Here's what I know is possible for me to create in my life. So how do I get from here to there? Well, it's more than just positive thinking, right? You got to take some action. You got to have a plan. You got to have a strategy. You got to deal with, your bad behavioral strategies. You got to deal with your negative emotional patterns. You got to deal with those limiting beliefs and all that stuff that's in your way. You can't just think your way to a new existence.
You can't. So, the thing when it comes to love, I always think it's funny when we have a client who's manifested all kinds of yummy stuff, like a great career and money, and they've manifested all kinds of things in their life, but no partner, right? No intimate romantic partner. And they'll say, well, I don't have control over another person. And we're like, yeah, exactly. You don't. But you also didn't have control over a particular person to give you one specific job either. You didn't go to one specific job going, it's this job or nothing, right? You went on a bunch of job interviews and then one came through and then you got maybe a promotion or maybe you got some experience, then went on to another rank at that career at another company, and it grew and grew and grew, right? And we don't think about love in this way. So what we want to say is it's really important to know where you are and to know where you want to be. So knowing where you are is also knowing about your limiting beliefs. We have the pleasure of speaking with a past client. It's been a couple years since we coached her. She's with a lovely guy. They're planning on getting married. They've just bought a house together. And she kept saying that she was, that she knew she had all these self-limiting beliefs. And she calls them self-limiting. And I'm like, well, it's extra. It's fine. I just, limiting beliefs, who else's would they be, right?
Exactly.
They have to be yours.
They're not going to limit
right?
other people.
Right? So your limiting beliefs are keeping you from seeing a new perspective. And instead, what we do when it comes to love is we do things backwards, right? We get attached to a person before we know if that person is an ideal match or not, because we have feelings. And then we think, oh, this must be my person because of the feelings. And then it doesn't work out, and then we don't trust ourselves, and then the feelings get confusing,
and we
all
start
of
saying
that
things
stuff.
like, I guess love isn't meant to be,
Yeah.
or, all kinds
so
of other beliefs we take on because of that experience.
Right. And so what we want to encourage you to do is instead look at your past relationships and look at yourself as being the common denominator. So here's some really good homework for you all, okay? Instead of trying to think positively all the time about every experience, because I find that rather exhausting. Like, I really want to be in the seat of reality, meaning factual evidence. So my feelings are transitory. My feelings might be factual evidence in the moment. But even if I'm enraged, I'm not going to stay enraged. As a matter of fact, when I'm enraged, it doesn't last very long. I mean, I remember once early on in our relationship, we were sort of in this little fight cycle, and we'd have a conflict, and Matthew would say, I need to get out of here, and he'd leave the house for a while. And so one time I said to him, I'm going to go. And so, he got up to leave, and I said, I'm going to be the one to leave. And right, he could wonder when I'm coming back. So I left. And of course he stayed home, and I'm out in the car and I'm driving around and I'm thinking, I'm so mad. I'm going to stay out all night. I'm not going to answer his calls or his texts. He's going to wonder about me. Who can I go spend, what friend can I go spend the night with? Yes, this is sometimes the mishigas I put myself through. I've calmed down a lot though. This is early on. A decade later, I can laugh at myself. But here I am in the car planning to stay out all night. And literally, I got tired of driving around rather quickly, like in about 3 minutes. And then I pull over, and in about 5 more minutes, I'm ready to come home. So I went from, I'm going to be out all night in rage, angry, right, to calming myself down, driving around in the car, pulling over, just to wondering where would I go, who would I stay with, who would I call, to, oh my gosh, I just really want to come home now in less than 10 minutes. So our feelings don't last. Our feelings don't last. Now, you might not be as hot-headed as me. Maybe it takes you a little longer to warm up or cool off, whatever. You might have your own time frame. But I'm just saying, our feelings don't last. So your feelings are not a great indicator. They're not the only indicator of a good match for you. And that's why I think it's important to look at other things besides the law of attraction. If you've tried a lot of the law of attraction tools in your dating processes and you're setting the table for two, and still there isn't a partner, there isn't a beloved that's shown up, no partnership, then it's time to look at what are your limiting beliefs that's keeping that spot open so that you can have your limiting beliefs. You see that? See what I did there? So you can either open the space, like say, oh, I really want to share my life with somebody. Because sharing your life with somebody really requires that you accept this person as they are. And the great practice of practicing about another person is to practice with yourself first. And that's so much of what we teach. We practice really being in touch with yourself, communicating with yourself, being kind, loving, and compassionate with yourself. And look, you might be that person that isn't, that's harder on you than everybody else, or the other way around. There's always a way for you to manifest what you want. So you can either go outside in and find love and compassion for people outside of you and then work towards yourself to bring in a beloved, or you can start with yourself and then work out towards other people, right? There's gonna be a way that's easier for you, so you can pick a way that's just easier for you. Whichever way you naturally find easier, pick that one for yourself. Like, don't make it the hardest thing that you're trying to do, because manifesting a great love relationship requires that you know yourself, right? That's what all the sages say. When you know yourself, you can own your stuff, and you'll be required to do that over and over and over again in relationship, which is why I can sit here today and share with you, hey, I was so hot-headed once. I was like planning to be out all night. In less than 10 minutes, I'm ready to come home and like make up and snuggle and, do all that yummy good stuff.
One of the other issues, you're so cute. One of the other issues with the law of attraction, right, is people do focus on creating a vision of what they want and setting the table for two and thinking positively, but then they don't follow it up with action, right? They don't follow it up with actually taking steps, with getting on, say, a dating site and actually meeting people, right? Because thinking positively should be enough of a magnet to bring it to you, but you need to take action. And I remember hearing this quote, and you can fill in the blank, I'm going to use the word God, but you can fill in the blank with the universe or the giant spaghetti monster or goddess or whatever your beliefs are. But the quote went like this. It said, believe with all your heart that God is acting in a way to make sure that you get everything that you desire, and take action as if none of that is true.
I love that.
Right? So believe in all your heart that the universe, God, everything is conspiring to bring you everything you want. Take action in your life as if none of that is true, meaning do everything you can through your actions to get what you want. And that's the piece that people really, they don't do, right? When it comes to the law of attraction, they think the belief and the thought and the feeling is enough, right? But no, you have to act on it, and you have to act in such a way that says, I'm going to put all of my effort towards this thing, right? Both Orna and I, before we found each other, we were working like crazy to figure out relationship. I mean, we didn't get together till after 40. It's not like we've been doing this our whole lives and we just fell into love when we were like 16 and it's been bliss ever since. No, we have the stories, right? We have the scars, right? That says, hey, look, all the different ways that we did it wrong. We used to joke when we first started doing this that one of the reasons why we're relationship experts is because between the two of us, we pretty much made every mistake you can make, right? And it was through that process of learning and changing and growing that not only that we found each other, but then we realized we had created a system that other people could use. And early on, we started testing out that system, right? We taught workshops and we said, well, this is the system we use to create this relationship. How does it work for you, right? And as we tested that system, when we saw the results from other people over and over and over and over again throughout the years, right? We go, oh, we get it. This is how you do this, right? This is the system.
It is a tried and true
This is a tried and true system for creating that love that you really want. And it requires not only thinking positively and checking in with your emotions and becoming a master of your own emotional state, right? But it also requires effort, and it requires certain strategies that are much more effective than, say, other strategies which aren't.
And so when you can look at yourself and understand what's blocking that other person, what are those limiting beliefs, right? What are those blocks keeping you that really when you get a little bit more flexible and you're not as rigid, you can really open up to receive the gifts that are available to you. And love is one of those gifts. I mean, let's face it, manifesting a great relationship is not taught in any school. We're really not taught communication skills or conflict resolution or any of these kinds of skills that really help in creating long-lasting love. And yet, every single person can learn the skill set because love truly is your birthright.
Yeah.
So rather than focusing and thinking that you have to, quote, be positive all the time, I mean, I will tell you, historically, medically, I have low blood pressure. I do. I have really low blood pressure. For the most part, I'm pretty chill. But I also clean as I go. I mean, I remember once I was at the hair salon, and I've had the same hairdresser since like the 80s. And I got a little upset about something. I don't remember what it was. And my hairdresser's like, oh, I want to calm down your blood pressure. And I'm like, my blood pressure's fine. What? Like, she just didn't like that I got upset, which is fine. I mean, I wasn't upset at her. I was upset about something that had happened or a conversation. I don't remember exactly. But I just want to say, if you're dealing with your emotions in real time, there's really nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, other people might be uncomfortable, but that's really not about you. And so that's the way I choose to move through the world. I choose to go, oh, I'm going to honor myself by feeling my feelings, and I'm going to speak how I feel. And so Matthew talked about being a master of your emotional life, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of like running that boat of trying to be positive all the time. I find that exhausting. I have to deal with what's real, because if I don't feel good in the moment, I can't fake feel good. It just, because that feels disingenuous, like it feels icky to me. So, I mean, hey, if faking happiness works for you and it suddenly flips a switch where you really feel happy and that works for you, great, keep doing that. For the rest of you, you might want to try this on, right? That just deal with whatever you're feeling in the moment. Speak your truth about how you feel. And then once the words are said, it's like floating it out to sea, because now there's space for something else to come in. So mastering your emotional life is actually much easier than trying to manipulate your emotional life. Yeah. Mastering your emotional life means you get to feel your feelings, and then you speak how you feel, and then you can make choices, because now you have options about what actions to take or not take. That's how you become a master of your emotions and eventually learn how to manifest for yourself the things that you truly want.
Yeah. For example, say you're feeling anxious in the moment about something, about the world, about your finances, about your family, your relationships, whatever it is. You're feeling anxiety, right? If you go, I'm going to just ignore this anxiety, I'm going to push it down, and I'm going to imagine that everything's okay, right? That anxiety is constantly going to be bubbling underneath, and it's just going to want to come out, right? And instead, if you just say, oh, man, I'm feeling really anxious right now. Just feel how that's like, oh, it gives it movement. It gives it expression. That anxiety is looking for a place to go, right? We always use the analogy of emotions are like ocean waves. They come in, they crash onto the shore, but then they recede, and another wave comes in and replaces it. So when you speak it and you express it, like Orna was saying, you allow that wave to recede, and you give the space for a new wave to come in. Right. You may realize underneath that anxiety there's some deeper fear, or maybe there's some hurt or some sadness or some shame or something else under there, but keeping to continue to speak it and to allow it to come out will eventually allow yourself to find that peace, which is behind all of it, right? Which is the truth of what's really going on. So yeah. We hope all of this gives you some peace and gives you some new ways of thinking about your thoughts and feelings, so that you can become a master in your life and you can create the love that you want. So join us on Thursday for Thriving on Thursday. We always appreciate all of you in our community and appreciate you for participating in these videos.
Thanks, and have a great night.